Om. 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 Gurur Brahma, Gurur Vishnu, Gurur Devo Maheshwaraha, Gurureva Param Brahma, Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Chinmayam Vyapyat Sarvam Trailokyam Sacharacharam Tatpadam Darshitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Tvameva Mata Chapita Tvameva Tvameva bandhu sakha tvameva tvameva vidya dravinam tvameva tvameva sarvam mama deva deva Tvameva sarvam mama deva deva. Jai Guru. Om Badram Karne Vishrinuyama Devaha Badram Pashe Makshabhirya Jatraha Stirai Rangai Stushtvagum Sastanubihi Vyashema Devahitam Yadayuhu Swasti na Indro Vridhashravaha Swasti na Pusha Vishwavedaha Swasti nastarksho arishtanemihi Swasti no Brahaspatir dadhatu. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. So do we have Amini online?
Hi, Jim. Good morning. Yes, I'm here.
Good morning. Hari Om.
Hari Om.
So, Mark, where are we in our text?
Chapter 4, Karika 7.
Siete. Sanskrit and Spanish.
All right.
Okay, so chapter 4, verse 7. And will you help us out, please, Amini?
Sure. Na bhavatyamritam matyam namatyam amritam tadha prakritera nyatha bhavo nakatam chid bhavishyati. The immortal cannot become mortal, nor can the mortal ever become immortal. For it is never possible for a thing to change its essential nature and yet remain the same.
So, what Gaudapada is dealing with here is what is an apparent contradiction in our scriptures. So, we have in Bhagavad Gita, we have it in the Vedas, this idea of the transmigrating soul, the Jivatman, that evolves through many lifetimes, and then in its last lifetimes attains self-realization and becomes Brahman, or is united with Brahman, or attains Brahman. And there's so much that's all wrapped up with that. We have go to the astrologer to make sure you marry the person whose chart agrees with yours because of past lifetimes. We have some cataclysm in our life, and karma from a previous life. Or even children, especially, will oftentimes remember a prior life. So it has a truth with a small t. But here Gaudapada says, how can the finite ever become infinite? How can the infinite ever become finite? So we have to clearly understand what is moksha, what is liberation, what is enlightenment, what is self-realization. And what I like to say is it's not an ontological problem. Ontology is the study of being. My being does not undergo a change. Why? Because the finite can never become infinite, and the infinite never becomes finite. So the scriptures are like the dream state in their understanding. Who had a dream last night or this week? I can't see. Did Wendy raise her hand?
Yeah.
What did you dream?
The only thing I remember is I was taking small rodents and smashing them on the ground to kill them. Just telling you, that was the dream. I know. Don't ask me.
Okay.
You asked.
So you are a rodent killer in your dream.
I am.
So the question is, bad karma. So in the dream, maybe you need to get rid of that terrible klesha, that affliction. Evolve into a more compassionate person. We maybe need to have somebody from animal rights talk to you. But did any of that behavior affect you, the waker?
No.
It was a memory.
Mhm.
It was certainly a perceived experience.
Mhm.
But you are not the dreamer. And in a sense, you are. Certainly feels like I'm the dreamer. Didn't it feel like it was you?
Yeah.
Now, as you know, I'm an old fat man who's legally blind. I'm never blind in my dreams. And I never have problems like running around. In fact, I'm frequently driving in my dreams. I haven't driven in 25 years because I can't see. So, did my eyes get healed in my dream? What happens to the dreamer? Do they get liberated? Do they attain the waker? Do they merge with the waker? Do they reach the waker? All these words that we use to try to describe the process. What happened to the rodent killer, Wendy?
I woke up. She was
And
gone.
gone.
Yeah.
Something stayed the same. The experience of pure subjectivity. But what you thought you were, poof, God. So also, the Upanishads thunder the doctrine of ajati, unborn. The truth is, even when you were sound asleep and having this vivid dream, Wendy the Waker was just fine in your bed. And even if the rodents had gotten very angry and started to attack you, they're biting me all over. A Hitchcock movie. You would be safe in your bed. So also, the experience of being an individual person identified with the body of the waker, going through our successes and failures, our joys and sorrows, is like a very long and very vivid dream. Who here's ever had a recurring dream? Anyone?
Sort of, yeah.
You come back into the same scenario, and
Yeah.
that's like reincarnation. So you have some sense of where you were, and there's some sense of continuity. But did you, the waker, go to Monday's dream as opposed to Wednesday's dream?
No.
So listen carefully. Both bondage and liberation occur to the mind. The self is ever free. What is my bondage? Keep saying this over and over again. It is Jiva Bhavana. There is no other bondage than the deeply rooted feeling that I am bound, meaning I think I'm my body, or my body plus a transmigrating soul, the subtle body. I'm not saying we're not having experience, but it occurs in the mind. There is no other moksha, there is no other liberation than the deeply rooted conviction in the mind. Not that I'm now a realized person. I'm a Mahatma, come touch my feet. I'm going to get a turban with a large jewel in it. No. It's the knowledge. I've awakened. I woke up. Oh, I'm not a person at all. And I never was. I see now. I am that space of pure awareness. Untouched by the 6 waves of sorrow. I'm safe because I'm birthless, changeless, deathless, nirmalam, without taint or dirt, achalam, without any movement, kutastha, still, stable like a mountain. And now I finally discovered where is happiness and what is the cause of my sorrow. Chidanandarupaham, my nature, my swarup, is bliss consciousness. What is my bondage? First, I've gone to sleep to my self nature in the mind. Then I project this dream character called a personality. And it always has the experience of spiritual impoverishment. I'm not enough, there's not enough. And I either want to change the world or fix me. And that sets up kartavya, obligatory actions, struggle, kama, craving, desire. That's what hurts. What does it feel like to want something you don't have? It hurts. It's painful. Can you find any other kind of suffering? My foolish mind says I'm suffering because I don't have what I want. And yoga says, oh no, my dear. You are suffering because you're wanting. You can try to get what you want, knock yourself out. But you've been living that way for how many years in the nightmare of this world? How's that working out for you? Go look into his face. There's a man with no desires. Yet, spontaneously wishing the well-being of the world. Because he sees it as his own self. So we realize who and what we are. Both bondage and liberation occurred of the mind. The self, myself, is ever free. In the end, real, effective spirituality is profoundly simple. Any thoughts, any questions on this? Next, Karika.
स्वभावेनामृतो यस्य धर्मो गच्छति मर्त्यताम् कृतकेनामृतस्तस्य कथं स्थास्यति निश्चलः. Does this have a tune, Jim? I just did a tune.
Yeah, you just did a fine tune. That's
Cool.
That's regular shloka. That's
Okay.
fine.
Okay, awesome. How can he who believes that the naturally immortal entity becomes mortal maintain that the immortal, after modification, retains its changeless nature?
So, no. The Puranas, the Vedas, even Gita in the second chapter says the infinite somehow becomes this Jivatman. The Dvaitans, like the Sankhya's, posit there were little individual Purushas. We go through this process, and then we kind of get glued on to Brahman. No. Or does Brahman undergo change? Do you have an anthropomorphic God? Now, we have anthropomorphic notions of the infinite. We have stories about the gods and the goddesses having feelings and getting angry and doing this and going there. They are all myth. They're all about our minds, not about the infinite. Call it the goddess, call it God, call it pure spirit, call it the ineffable. It is birthless, changeless, deathless. The truth of God is set forward in the 4 Mahavakyas, each one taken from an Upanishad, from each of the 4 Vedas. Prajnanam Brahma. Brahman is consciousness. Has no plumbing, no arms, no heads, doesn't have fish eyes. All of that is mystic symbolism. Oh, but I just want to be loved by Lord Krishna. I want to be wrapped in his arms. Knock yourself out. It's perfectly okay at one particular level of our sadhana. When we need a lover who will never let us down, unlike the idiot I'm married to. Sound familiar? But that's not who God is. Prajnanam Brahma. God is consciousness. Oh, how am I ever going to reach God? Maybe someday the Voyager spacecraft will reach God. God is transcendental. Yes. In Gita, Krishna says, in one small corner of my infinite being is the entire cosmos. The second Mahavakya. I am Atma, Brahma. What does Atman mean? I had a student say, oh, it means the soul. I have a soul. No. What does Atman mean?
The self.
Do you have a self?
No.
You are the self. New phone, but not a new you. Who sees the phone?
I do.
That's yourself. You don't get another self. My problem is not that I need a new self. My problem is I have all sorts of stupid ideas about self. Third Mahavakya. Tat Tvam Asi. You are that. It's not something that's up in the air that I've got to achieve, attain, or anything like that. I don't have a relationship with the infinite. You are that. And this third Mahavakya is called the Upadesha Mahavakya. Upadesha means to instruct or to teach. So all of the branches of yoga are implied in that third Mahavakya. So I go through all the preparatory exercises. What are they for? To achieve Chitta Shuddhi, purity of mind. Why? Because I'm stupid. I'm so stupid that I can't seem to comprehend, understand the most obvious thing about me. It's kind of like someone saying, scratching my nose, but I don't know whether or not I have a hand or a nose. You just scratched your nose. No. I don't have a hand and I don't have a nose. You're crazy. What did you scratch your nose with? Elbow. My fourth foot. No, you scratched your nose with your hand. No. I'm a miserable person with no nose and no hands. That's what we're like. Who had a tough time this past week? Some incident. They got upset.
I did.
What happened?
My stomach won't stop hurting.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Did you cease to exist?
No.
Did you know the pain?
Yeah.
Yeah. In the midst of your suffering, you did not cease to be. You were fully aware. It's like having a nightmare. Notice, we don't say that bad experiences don't happen. The scriptures say the Sthita Pragya, the person of steady wisdom, they are the same in heat and cold. That's just a catch-all phrase for the pairs of opposites at the physical level. Can you have equanimity about the pain? It doesn't touch you. The Buddhists talk about the second arrow. There's first, which is the real suffering of the world. Your stomach hurts. But the second arrow is, I don't want it to hurt. I want it to get away from it. I can't stand this, which is my resistance, which amplifies, makes it worse. Now, if we've attained Chitta Shuddhi, this purity of mind, and we've been blessed and fortunate enough to have these moments, and everything thunders to a stop. Then the no thingness of myself becomes apparent to my mind. And I have that aha. Oh, I'm not a person. I never was. I'm that space of pure awareness. This is called by some scriptures pratyabhijnanam, recognition. And notice the moment of recognition is not, I'm a realized person, don't disrespect me. You better treat me like a monkey. No. I never was a person. So the last Mahavakya, Aham Brahmasmi, which is not I know Brahman, but I am Brahman. I didn't achieve it. I didn't attain it. I didn't become it. I didn't merge into it. The finite did not become infinite. The rodent killer didn't become the Wendy sleeping in the bed. You woke up and you saw, what a weird dream. You should make rodent stew, not kill them. It is not an ontological problem. It's a problem of realizing, of knowing what I've always been. So I get this existential freedom. Nothing's going to harm me. Does that mean that the equipment won't get its allotted dose of joys and sorrows? Yeah, it will. But none of that touches me. It's like going to a horror movie sometimes. And I finally know where peace is. Peace is a mind free from struggle. Very important point. Next, Karika.
सांसिधिकी स्वाभाविकी सहजा अकृता चया प्रकृति सेति विज्ञेया स्वभावं न जहातिया. We understand by the term prakriti, or the inherent nature of things, as that which, when acquired, becomes completely a part and parcel of things. That which is the very characteristic quality in them, that which is inborn or innate, that which is not artificial, and nothing leaves its own nature.
So here he's using the word prakriti, which means nature. The word prakriti in Sanskrit has the two meanings that the word nature does in English. I can go out and see the beauty of nature, or Wendy is experimenting with new tart crust. It's her nature. She's just always fussing with cooking stuff. You
When
know,
I'm
her
not killing rodents.
what?
When I'm not killing rodents.
Yeah. That's in the dream, not this dream. So it's the same as the word we use as swadharma, the nature of something. And when the prakriti or the swadharma of something, it never leaves its essential nature. Scriptures will say it's the nature of fire to burn. It is the nature of sugar to be sweet. It can involve process. It's the nature of water to be wet, but it's the nature of a river to flow from one elevation to a lower one. So nothing leaves its swabhav. It's prakriti, it's swadharma. I like to use the example. I go into a little jewelry box that I inherited from my grandfather. And there's gold shirt studs and some gold cufflinks. And they're all kind of broken and stuff like that. So I want to get a gold ring made out of it. So I go to the jeweler up on Piedmont and I say, I got all this old, I don't wear white tie and tails. I don't need shirt studs. Can you make me a really nice gold ring? Oh, sure, no trouble. How long will it take? 3 weeks. So I come back in 3 weeks after I get the email. I go to the jeweler and he's made me this very lovely silver ring. So I gave you a whole bunch of gold. I wanted you to make a gold ring. Oh, I did. Gold turns into silver when you make a ring. So if you had that story, what would you think?
Jeweler's crooked.
They cheated me. Why? Because gold always remains gold. The nama rupa changes, name and form, but gold doesn't leave its prakriti, its nature. What is the nature of Brahman? Satchidananda Rupa. Its nature is pure existence, consciousness. No sorrow touches it. It is the fountainhead, the wellspring, the source of all joy for the mind. Never leaves its prakriti. The infinite never becomes finite. The finite does not become infinite. So the ultimate point here that he's going to be driving at is, do we work on character building? Do we work on developing the qualifications of a fit student, adhikari? Do we look at the yamas and niyamas of Raja Yoga? Yes. There's two things. First of all, just out of compassion for the rest of us, don't be a jerk. If you forget all these moral precepts, you can reduce them to ahimsa. What is ahimsa?
Non-violence.
Non-injury, non-violence. Goes two ways. Don't hurt other people and don't hurt yourself. When I engage in interior self-abuse, oh, why did I do that? I'm such a terrible person. How could I do that? I'm so bad. Nobody could possibly love me. I'm not worthy of it. I'm inherently flawed. If you were in a market and you heard some mother saying those things to a child, you'd call Child Protective Services, wouldn't you? But is that the voice in your head talking about your own nature? That is not ahimsa. It always goes both ways. And why do we develop these qualities? Because in the end, we need the chitta shuddhi, the purity of mind. That's the real reason for becoming adhikari, a fit student. Along the way, a lot of the rough edges of a hurtful, harmful, suffering personality get rubbed off. I mean, it's so sad and funny at the same time. What was it, yesterday or the day before? We had Elon Musk versus Donald Trump on social media. Any of you tune into this? It's like two school kids. He took my ball. Well, I took it because he kicked me. You know, it's silliness. Silliness. Put on your big boy pants, for God's sake. Yeah. These are two of the most powerful people in the country. And they're not unique. So the rough edges of our thinking and feeling and behavior get smoothed out through these moral disciplines and mind and intellect disciplines. But in the end, it's like trying to count to the highest number. You cannot make the finite infinite. Where does this become a stumbling block? In two ways. First of all, when you're looking for a guru, if you examine the guru closely, you will find that they are a flawed human being, just like the rest of us. One of my favorite stories, there was a Westerner who traveled all over the world looking for the perfect guru. And down the street at the City Yoga Center, he comes to meet Baba Muktananda and asks Baba, I've traveled all over the world looking for the perfect master. Are you he? And Baba says, funny you should ask that. I've been looking for the perfect student. Are you he? The fellow got all dejected, turned around and started to walk away. And Baba goes, come on back. Maybe we can work something out. Yet, something in us, someone in us, is already perfect. And that's the self, who I really am. Nirmalam, without dirt or taint. Nirupaham, without any form. Nisklesha, without any defect or affliction. I rediscover not that I'm a perfect person. Aham Brahmasmi. I am Brahman. And I give up concern for the bodies, the equipment. Now there's paradox here. The dharma of the body is karma. Karma simply means work, but it also implies the law of reciprocity. The law of karma is whatever action or energy you put out will come back to the body, not the self. So just because you know you are Brahman does not mean that at the level of the body and the mind, you will not get the inevitable results of your behavior, be it auspicious or inauspicious. I don't care if you are the most realized person in the world. You punch a cop, the cuffs go on. Now, if you're a woman of steady wisdom, you can be carted off to jail and it won't touch you, won't bother you. I think of Mahatma Gandhi, who deliberately tweaked the nose of the Brits. And there's a scene in the movie where the guy says, "Arrest Mr. Gandhi." They put him in prison. And he's there in his loincloth with his books, with his little glasses, making his homespun cloth. As happy as could be. They could put his body in jail, but they could not imprison him. So we don't want to have unrealistic notions that somehow yoga will keep the body from getting its inevitable results. Any thoughts or questions on this? So one finds yogis tending to behave rather well throughout the world. Why? It just makes life simpler. If you lead a life of vengeance, of violence, if you lie, if you're full of greed and acquisition, stuff like that, it doesn't touch the cell. We can run, but we cannot hide. Doesn't mean the inevitable results won't come back. At the level of the body. All right. Next verse.
जरा मरण निर्मुक्ता सर्वे धर्मा स्वभावतः जरा मरणम् इच्छन्तश्चवन्ते तन्मनीषया. All egocentric entities are, by their very nature. Oh, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes. Oh, sorry. Okay. All egocentric entities are, by their very nature, free from senility and death. Senility and death. They merely imagine that they are subject to these changes, and thus, by their very thoughts, they appear to deviate from their very nature.
So, all of the suffering that goes on for me, the individual entity in this world, they are all like the dream. Now, there are rules in my dream. Anybody here have flying dreams? Yes? No?
No.
Well, I do. Freud would probably have a heyday with that. But in a flying dream, I know how to fly. There was one dream I had, typical Jim, I'm teaching flying. A bunch of people lined up in front of me. Flying is controlled falling. It's all in the breath. Doesn't that sound like me? So, we all just levitate. Cause and effect, rules, laws in the dream. But were they real? They appeared real to the dreamer, but not the waker. So we have laws and rules of this particular dream. Light travels at 186,000 miles per second. Why? Ishwara's dream. There are metaphysical laws, things like karma, things like the law of sankalpa. But they all are relative realities. They're not absolutes. And every culture, every religion has the phenomenon of what we would call a miracle. It can be some great sage in India. It can be some Christian saint. It can be psychic surgeons from the Philippines. It can be Native Americans doing a ceremony. But what do they have in common? They believe that through this practice, the world is less rigid and concrete than we think it is. So yoga thunders. This whole world is nothing but vibration held together by thought. Spun up. In the end, it doesn't even really vibrate. It just appears to. None of it touches the cell. None of it. Meaning you're safe. It's going to be okay. Yeah, but I want blah 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 blah. Ah, Buddha. Oh. Again, create a nightmare for yourself. Everything you seek, everything you want, you already are. I really want a bigger house. How will you feel when you get the house? I'll be happy then. Oh, I want a relationship. I want it so bad. How will you feel when you get the relationship? I'll be happy. I can't stand the person I have to live with. I wish they'd just move out. How will you feel if you get rid of them? I'll be happy. Oh, I want to start a new project. How will you feel? Happy. Oh, I want to retire. I want to get rid of my job. How will I feel? Happy. Why not just go for the happiness? It's so much simpler. Everything we're looking for, we are looking with. Chidananda Rupam, my nature is bliss consciousness. Shivoham, Shivoham. I am Shiva. Shiva also means auspicious. But the mind, oh, the mind. And the mind is ruled by inertia. And to change the habituated flows of the mind, it's done through two things. First, deep insight. We have to see how my ways of thinking and behaving are causing me to suffer. Then we develop the desire to be free from desire. When I've clearly understood the problem. The clearest example that I've come up with is people who are gluten sensitive. Anybody here have that as an issue? Yeah. So you may go years not realizing you're gluten sensitive. Your tummy hurts and you're not regular, so euphemistic. And finally, you figure out what it is. Doesn't mean you're going to stop eating pizza and donuts overnight. But at least you know what the problem is. And then when you have something that's got wheat or something in it and you get a bellyache, oh, yeah, it really is the cause. So you develop the desire to be free from your suffering. And in time, you put that stuff down. Feel better. Is that making sense?
Yeah.
How is that different from wanting?
Wanting is like the gluten. It's not different at all. When I finally see it's the wanting that's causing my trouble, then I start working on it. Before that, my mind's telling me, I just don't have what I want. That's the problem. Not realizing it's the wanting itself that's causing the suffering. Does that make it clearer?
Well, yes, I shouldn't be sorry, but you said the desire to not want the desire. That's why I said, isn't that a wanting in itself?
It is.
That's
But
what I-
the scriptures say it's like kataka nut powder. I got to check our time. So in South India, in the monsoon, when the floods come, the rivers are swollen. And when the women come down in the morning to get the big, huge jars of water, they are filled with silt in the water. So what they did in old-timey days is they would take the kataka nut and they pound it up and make a powder and put the powder in the water. They had dirty water, so what did they do? They added more dirt. But now they use alum. But the kataka nut powder does something with the surface tension. So it attracts the silt and it all then settles to the bottom. Then they can decant the water. It's pure. A modern day example, I did laundry last night. So I put my dirty clothes in the washing machine because they were dirty. And then what did I do? I added more dirt. It's called detergent. What does detergent do? It's a special kind of dirt. I think actually what it does, it makes water wetter. Whatever it does, it loosens the dirt. Then in the rinse cycle, both the dirt and the detergent are washed away. So the desire to be free from desire is spiritual detergent.
Okay. Got it.
In the end, you want to give it up. But to say, well, that's a desire, I'm not going to do that. That's like saying, I'm just going to put my dirty clothes in the washing machine and no detergent, I won't even start it. Doesn't do anything. Excellent question. Because you can get caught in what I call the Vedanta logic loop.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you have a question, Jessica? Okay.
Hey, Jim. I had a question. This is Ali.
Hi, Molly.
Hi, Jim. So you had talked about inertia and the mind. And one theme that I just see for myself on the note of like suffering is that I know sometimes gluten is not good for me, but then I reach for suffering, and there's a part of me that wants to keep that suffering going, and it made me think of inertia. So I just maybe if I could ask you about why is it that, if you've got a pattern of suffering that you reach towards it, and what can I do about it?
Tapas. And this is a thing that a lot of us are unwilling to acknowledge. Understanding is the booby prize. So you have a tummy ache and you eat gluten and you go get tested and you find out I am gluten sensitive. Now you have understanding. And then you go eat pizza. Understanding was the booby prize. It didn't change anything. Knowing it is my addictive relationship with life and substances and people and attention, etc., that's causing my suffering. The insight alone, well, first of all, 90% of healing is awareness. You have no chance of being free from your suffering unless you know what's going on. But then we have to do tapas. Tapas is usually defined as austerity, but what it means is understanding that the mind is ruled by the law of inertia. I have to take up the practice of shifting one flow of the mind into a different direction. And you will come up with resistance. And that's why we call it tapas. It heats up the mind. I don't want to do that. And the scriptures will oftentimes say, when I see the cause of my suffering and I start to let things go, I weep, I grieve. Very natural. Anybody here been in a toxic love affair relationship and you know it's bad and you finally let it go and you don't rejoice, you're just full of sorrow? Who's had that experience? You guys are so vanilla. Anyway, I had a bad picker. I picked a lot of the wrong people. But it's weird. The mind prefers the familiar. It's what I'm used to. And I'm not making this up. If you look at Upanishad, the first part is all the introductory stuff. Finally, Yamaraj, Lord Death, starts the teaching for Nachiketas. What's the first teaching of Lord Death? Two paths approach a person: Shreyas and Preyas. Shreyas, the good, the intelligent, a way of life that leads to freedom. Preyas comes from the same root as Priya, which means what's dear, what's desirable. Swamiji used to say the electable and the delectable. And the intelligent person learns to discriminate between the two. Now, because the mind is ruled by familiarity and habit, if we work on shifting the mind from the preyas to the shreyas, in the beginning, it's going to be hard. Give you another one of my slogans. Anything worth doing is worth doing badly. If it's really hard and you've not done it much before, you're not going to be very good at it in the beginning. And I'm the first to admit I'm a crappy yogi, but I've been steadfast. I keep on, keeping on, keeping on. And in time, if you keep moving the mind from the preyas to the shreyas, the mind starts to prefer the good. and the good starts to deliver its results long before realization happens. We have a more peaceful life, a life that's more joyful, a life with some serenity, a life with some freedom. But if you're in prayas, what do I want? What's in it for me? How am I going to get my needs met? Screw all the rest of you. I want mine. Knock yourself out. I'm so unhappy. Why? I don't know. Oh, I can tell you why. You're a fool. Why don't you try Shreyas instead of prayers? I won't have any fun. Oh, how's that working out for you? So we have to be kicked in the teeth by life. Some of us for years, decades. Can't remember what text it was. It was Ashtavakra Gita I'm going through with a student. And Janaka says it's like a person who's out there pursuing pleasures in the world seriously, that's what's going to work, is like an ass. Now, there's a lot in that metaphor. Have you ever seen a YouTube video of a male donkey around a female donkey who's in season? So when the female donkey's in estrus, in season, she emits pheromones. And the male donkey, the pheromone sensors are on the underside of the upper lip. You'll see them go. You ever seen horses and donkeys do that?
Horses, yeah.
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 Then what does he do? His face right in the rear end of the she ass. And guess what she does if she's not ready?
Kicks him.
Kicks him in the face. She walks away. Guess what he does
Goes
next?
right after.
Over and over and over again. Kicked in the face. That's what it's like to be an ass. Okay, we have to stop. What verse are we on for next week?
11.
All right. Are you all
Yeah.
online still? Or
Verse 11. Yes, sorry, Jim. I had to mute.
Verse 11 for next week. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Sri Guru Pyo Namaha. Hari Om. Om.